Tired of the same old at business events? Well, this is not the same as last year. The podcast where we blow up the boring and lead the charge into the attendee-first era of business events. I'm Clare Forestier, a business event MC obsessed with transforming audiences from passive observers into dynamic participants at events. Each week we'll challenge the conventions, share actionable tips, and hear from fellow event rebels who are mastering the engagement game. Imagine your attendees begging for more after your next event. That's the magic of prioritising their experience. Ready to ditch the dull and create corporate events your audiences will rave about? Then you've found your tribe. Join the movement. Welcome to Not the Same as Last Year.
Hello and welcome to Not the Same as Last Year. Now, this episode is going to be about the concept of community, which may be new to you if you've not been talking about this in events, but actually is a really amazing way to make your event sing, to make the people that you are talking to feel really included and really part of the event. You can set it up before the event, you can set it up during the event, you can make sure it continues after the event. You can do it simply or you can do it with quite a lot of detail. And my special guest who's going to help me talk about this today is a lady called Lathan, who I met, I think, through chatting and sharing stuff on LinkedIn, and we got to know each other that way. And I've now come across her in loads of different things that I do. And we're actually going to be meeting this year in person, which is really exciting. But what Liz does is she's the co-founder of the Community Factory, which is essentially something that she set up after years of working in B2B marketing. And it's about helping people build a community at their events and then helping them run that year round. So they do it. I mean, they talk about community as a service that they offer, but they also are full of advice for their clients about, and for other people about how to just bring little elements in that will give your attendees that feeling of being heard, being part of something, which we all crave as human beings. And I've talked about that before. So she's also part of an organization called Club Itchy, which is an actual community that they have set up for people working in B2B events and particularly marketers in that space. And I'm a member of Club Itchy too, and I highly recommend it if you want to kind of understand more about community and also feel part of a community yourself, because it can be very isolating working in events, and especially if you're doing things on your own and not feeling that you have that sounding board, that place to go. So without further ado, I'm going to get on to Liz. We're gonna introduce Liz into the show. And the first question I asked Liz when I spoke to her was, tell me about the importance of community. So over to you, Liz.
I think that community matters for absolutely everything we do in life. I think it's part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think that sense of belonging and those core values around needing to feel like you're connected to someone matters. And so when it comes to business, there's no difference to me emotionally from a business community and a personal community. I think if you're building out communities, there are three main types. There's communities of practice, communities of purpose, and communities of and now I've forgotten what the third one was. What is it? Purpose, practice, and purpose, practical, and crowds. So I think that those three communities make perfect sense to consider when you're trying to build it. So when you talk about hanging together with a group of friends and going to see a concert, it doesn't fit into that construct necessarily, because that's not a business community. That's a friend community. That's belonging. That's like interest. You can technically say it's purpose because you all like the same kind of music and you want to go together. But when we're talking business events, you can choose. Is it purpose? Is it practice? What is it product? Think of a user community for your products. You've got people coming together for a specific purpose around products. They want to help each other. They want to learn how they're using the product. They want to learn more about the product, and they want to actually talk about that because they're like-minded in that sense. Practice could be professions. It's industry associations. It's communities that are around a particular profession. People come together to share those best practices and to help each other solve problems. So finding a sense of belonging outside of work, but with peers in the same environment that you're in, really helps you feel whole as a human. Because there's so much time at work, so much more time at work than you do at home, that owning that community.
And that's when you're talking about that. You're finding something to do with those people that you're still connected to, even though it's not your fun home stuff. So it is that feeling of belonging and needing to have social interaction around work that the event brings.
And having someone you can go to when, when we're young, we think that adults have it all figured out, but then we get into the real world and realize nobody knows how to do anything. We're all just making it up. And so to be able to have confidence at work, what you're doing, but go to your community and go, I actually have no idea how to do this. It's you. Okay, how you've been doing it, and having that supportive community to kind of give you a roadmap and help you do something, it can help advance your career, and you didn't have to feel like it looked like an idiot at work going, I don't know how to do that. So being able to again feel that sense of beyond belonging, right? It's just the sense of comfort knowing that there are people there to help you and that you're not alone.
Well, I always think it's like you don't really bond with people until you bond in adversity, so to speak. So you're bonding over things that you find difficult, or you're having a testing time with them, or even a fun time, even if it's just like a competitive thing within an event where you do something together as a group and you solve a thorny issue or a problem. That's the bonding. That's that special bit. Then you have all the connections to go off and do all the amazing other things that you can do in business at business events, like the networking or whatever, because you've made a kind of business friend by having a community with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did a research study back in 2021 to determine what emotions actually need to be evoked in order to generate an environment for connection. And we found that our theory was that it's happiness, that you needed to create this shared experience of happiness in order for people to feel connection. But it turns out it was not it. There are 5 emotions that you have to evoke in order to create that environment for connection. And they are hopeful, adventurous, active, accepted, and motivated. And so if you can create an environment in your community, either offline or online, that's going to provide you those things, or think about it at your events. Your hope and motivation, you probably got covered with your keynote speakers. This basis of persuasion, you want people to feel hope for better tomorrow and motivated to do something with everything they've learned in the But the meat, though, is the ham, the 3 A's, active, accepted, and adventure. A lot of people forget to add into their event design. The accepted part is, my biggest pet peeve at events is when you walk into registration and they've turned it into this frictionless environment where you just walk up and get your badge. But okay, so there's no one there to welcome me, no one there to be my wingman and introduce me to people. I now go to a corner and get on my phone and try to look like I'm not lonely. I think that's awful. I think that if you can have a group of people there to welcome you in, even if they're not the one handing you the badge, let that be frictionless. But you and the people there. And let people feel that sense of acceptance. And then active. If you have an entire agenda that is just, this stuff that's going to happen, and that's all that you're going to get, and you had no ability to contribute to the event, and you just flew somewhere to sit and get an entire event that could have been on YouTube, then you don't have active participants and you don't have the buy-in to actually create community and have conversation and make those connections. And then the last one's adventure. So that's what you're talking about. When you say you bond over like trauma bonding, we don't need to throw them into some sort of traumatic experience. But so I think it gets them out of their comfort zone and provides that sense of adventure. Could be a field trip to go do a cultural experience somewhere, or even like a CSR gift factory making skateboards that are going to be donated. Or it's just something that people are doing together and gives them that sense of, I don't do this every day on random Tuesday. This is kind of cool. It helps provide that.
Yeah, because quite often, sometimes the only adventure you get is, I don't know, you had to fight through public transport to get there, and you met a few people on the underground who are having the same experience as you, and then you've had your shared adventure. But actually, you've made friends with them. But that's the only option you got, and there's nothing to do with the event.
Well, the last 3 events I did, my only adventure was last this friend that went protein in the breakfast bar. So.
Oh yeah, there's a whole other podcast, isn't it, about eating healthily at events to look after your attendees. Well, I'm always, my thing is about attendee first, so I'm really fascinated by this idea of community. And when I'm an MC on stage, that might be the only opportunity. I'm desperately trying to build this community of people that are there together having an experience. Yeah. And it's super hard because they literally just pulled up. They don't know each other. They've got nothing in common apart from maybe the industry. And it's something that you just want the event planners to have started already. And also, when we've made this amazing community, then they say bye. And I have no idea what happens. Off they go into the ether at the end of the day. Did any community come from that? Has anything stayed and stuck with them? Maybe a few people have contacted each other and kept in touch. So what could an event planner do? Or, I mean, obviously there's levels. You could kind of go nuts with your community and take everybody on
Sure.
holiday afterwards. But where could you start?
I think the very first thing to start with is your definition of community. Do you want to create a sense of community, or do you want to create a community? Because you can create a sense of community, and it's your responsibility to keep it going after the event happens. But you've formed this feeling of belonging, and the people will take it on their own, and they will continue to meet up at other events. And now you've kind of done your job, and you're done with it, and it's so welcoming, and it was incredibly designed. Or if you want to create a community, you can start that long before the event, having people do virtual meetups, roundtable discussions before they get home, bringing the speakers together to get all the speakers kind of knowing each other and have them start talking about it, and then their followers start following, and now you come to the event and it's a celebration of the connections that they've made over the last 6 months online, and then it can continue on. So I think that's number one, is which path do you want to take, and neither are right or wrong. It's what's right for you and the resources you have. I think the way that we look at that year-long community, though, if you really want to go invest in that, is we view it as 5 steps, pillars, flywheel, funnel, however you want to do it. It can be all of those things. And we call that the show, site, series of gatherings, the sounding board, and the show elements. And so for us, the show is what do you want to do that is going to be top of funnel to let people see inside your community and let your community members you see, and that is a YouTube channel, a podcast, a TikTok, a newsletter, email newsletter, a LinkedIn newsletter, whatever it is that lets people that aren't in the community see what's going on and feel like they're ours. The next step is the set. So this is where a stupidness conversation. So it could be a free Slack channel, could be a Facebook group, could be an actual paid money network community circle, one of those type of things. Again, whatever's going to be right for your group. So you figure that out during the strategy session. But that's where people can get together and meet people. It's not just your website. It's not like listings of products. It's letting people get to each other. And then the series of gatherings. So this is where you end up sending in-person events, the monthly online events. It does not matter your cadence. If you do one event every 4 years, that's okay. As long as people know that there's cadence to it and that being part of the community means going to that thing, that's the thing. And then the sounding board. So I view the sounding board in a couple of ways. It could either be, if you're in the association world, this is your board of directors. These are the people that have the pulse of the industry, that are willing to contribute, that are going to give you the insights you need to build the content and build all the things that you need within the community. If it is your own community or it's an event that you're building around, it could be your sponsors and partners at the event. Creating a sounding board with them so that they feel like they're getting value and they understand what the strategy is going to be and have contribute to the content because you want to give them value too. I think that's exciting. You can do your sounding board quarterly. You get 5 new people each quarter and just use them for insights and have them help create content and be active in the site. And then finally, the shareable moments. And that is could be swag, could be that show that we talked about that you take snippets of and start letting you share. People that you feature in your show, they want to share that they're on your show. So that's where it turns into a flywheel. All of those things work together. You don't need all of them to run a community. Those are just the things that we like to consider overall.
I love that idea about the kind of getting the stuff from other people to help you make your community better or your event better or whatever. Because I'm always
that's community, right? Because it's all about you as a network, not a community.
Well, quite. And I mean, and so many events seem to be run with this very small group of stakeholders who've fed the information in, and the actual attendees or the contributors or all those people who could give you so much more aren't really used. They're still kept separately. I mean, literally 2 minutes ago was in a meeting about an event, and there were 2 of us in there with another lady who was at the event, and we're asking, but they're not all talking to each other. It's kind of all very, we're getting something from her contributions to how we want the event to go, but we could be getting a much bigger viewpoint into it.
So and don't be afraid to tap into the speakers that you're bringing. Create a community around them, because oftentimes, if you're doing a panel discussion or bringing multiple people together, they get so much value from the other people you've put on that panel. Allow that to happen, and not just in your 15-minute prep call that happens before the panel. Actually do something with them.
I think there is, though, a little bit of a resistance in a way to it, just because people aren't used to it. They've been institutionalized into what an event used to look like. And I do see Maybe I've pushed somebody, an event planner, like, let's build a community, let's do this, let's do that, let's get engagement going this way. And they're going, well, the attendees aren't really responding. Now, and then it looks like the statistics and the figures and the facts that you fed them were all wrong. What do we do to kind of, there's a little shift in culture that's needed with the attendee as much as everybody else, isn't there?
Yeah, that's true, but I also think part of it is it's not being the manager's job to create the community most of the time. They're managing the strategy and logistics of the event, and it's so you have to make sure that you have internal resources that can create that community and keep it going. And if you don't, starting with the community of practice or community of product or community of purpose and bringing in volunteers, either employees or customers who say, this would be really helpful if we could form a user group around this product, and having them buy in. Start small. You don't have to say I have a 3,000 person event. All 3,000 people need to be in my community. Start with your 10, 15 people and let it grow. Let them invite people in because they're getting value. I think that's the biggest scary part is, if I start a community, I need $1 million a year to go invest in it, and I need to hire 7 staff to go run it. And so don't think about that. Just find out a sense of community and then start creating those small moments so that people connect that community with us.
So that idea, that sense, is probably where someone's going to start with a one-off event or with an annual event initially. And they will maybe be motivated to start it because they think that's going to get the buzz talking about the event beforehand. It's going to keep people sticky. If they've said they're coming, they're then going to come. How is it?
Yeah.
You've got it. That it can potentially be not a very authentic way to do community because it's literally being focused by that. I just want the bums on the seats at the event, and then it can fall away very quickly. The event happens and everybody disappears and there's no community. So I suppose, how do you get that balance between we're doing it for a very specific reason, which is to get people to come to the event, to make it something that becomes a little bit more honest and long term?
Yeah, but why not start with the small online events that start building the momentum? And so if you start bringing in some of those people who's going to just speak at your event and have them do little moments, just imagine a 60-minute webinar with 3 of your speakers each sharing for 20 minutes, a little tidbit of what's going to happen when they get to the real event. And now you really know, these are individual smaller events that you can get 30 to 50 people to show up to and have a conversation. Start building that so that now, again, when they're looking toward the big event, it's viewed as a celebration of the community that they've started to build already, not I have to push tickets on them. Come buy this ticket to see this person. So how do you start building that way? And then when you get on site, you do have that sense of community, and you have maybe a special invitation for the people that came to those 3 events that you had prior, and say you're now VIPs. We have a special reception for you, and you get them all T-shirts, and now they kind of run out and are advocating for the event throughout the entire thing.
That's a lovely idea. I'm actually working with a client doing that at the moment, that we're doing little mini events in the run up to the event. And I love that. I'm going to suggest that the people who came to every LinkedIn Live have to get a special thank you and a notice at the event because it was so great to have them there. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and I think the other part with a community is having an identity. Can your community belong to something and have something that they really identify with? That there's a tool called ClickFunnels that is, digital platform, CRM, funnel building tool, and the people that use it all themselves funnel hackers, and they on shirts that say hashtag funnel hackers, and they identify them, and they go to funnel hacking live. They're all funnel hackers. And so they just have to share an identity that allows them to elevate the experience beyond I'm a customer of the software platform. And so when you're thinking of building that community, what can you call your people? Most people at their company have names of the people that are with them, right? Like if you work for Google, you're a Googler. If you're new at Google, you're a Googler. Like they have these identities, So how can you create that around your events to practice your product?
I love that. What about if you didn't do this, or you've got your event, it's happening, and you're like, oh no, community, that's not happened. What can I do on the day to foster that feeling of belonging, where it's community, but it's not a community you spend loads of time on, but you want for that day? Where are we missing out? What are the things that we could do?
That's just letting people talk to each other. And that is the biggest miss in most of the agendas that I still see today. number one thing people say they want to do at events is network and meet other people, and yet we're not giving people time in the agenda to do that, and we're not facilitating the opportunities for them to do it. We had one client come to us and say, last year, everyone told us that they wanted more time to network, so we made the coffee breaks 30 minutes. And this year, they still said they wanted more time to network, and we can't take more time away from the agenda. And I said, well, when they said they wanted to network, they didn't mean they wanted a longer coffee break. They meant they want to actually talk to each other and solve problems and get to know each other more than just having to have 30 minutes to go to the bathroom, check their email, get their coffee, and maybe network. So if you can facilitate peer-to-peer conversations, roundtable discussions, this is why we offer spontaneous think tanks and events to help facilitate what are the challenges people are trying to solve, who has solved the challenge, and how can we get them together to have people who solved it share with you when we're trying to solve it, and now they're forming actions. So every time, whether it's a roundtable, birds of the feather, a conference, think tank, that whatever you're doing, that's what people are begging for. And it's scary. If you're really not professional and your leadership team is just telling you, look, here are the side executives, my creative presidents heading on stage. Here are the sponsors that we need to appease, make sure that they have very good sessions. Here's the customers that need to go in the panel discussion. It's hard to know, okay, when can you let people talk to each other? Because the leadership team says, that's messy. What if he has a complaint session? That's scary. And that's what people want. And if you have a product to your lenses are on the product and the people have complaints, there's product managers in there. The product managers love to hear those kinds of feedback. They love to hear those complaints. And they know how to fix the product if they don't. And then the people feel heard, and now they form the sense of community, and maybe now they're ready to invite us to the product advisory council. How cool is that,
I didn't tee you up to say that, but I knew you'd say that. It's exactly true. It's like give the attendees a chance to speak, and it doesn't have to be an absolute free-for-all where they just shout all their complaints. You can frame it in a different way. It's advice, it's feedback, it's your genuine opportunity to share what your frustrations and pain points are, whatever you want to call it. Now you use those words like unconference, various other ones, and I guess it's that attendee-led session idea which freaks so many people out. What's a simple attendee-led session that we could just put into the agenda? If you look at the agenda, God, it's really, really busy. There isn't a lot of networking. Could we switch this half hour? What could we do quickly? Because I do get that from clients saying, oh my goodness, it's really formed. I'm sorry, wish we'd hired you sooner, but we haven't. This is the agenda. It's kind of set. We've got half an hour here. What could we do?
Yeah. Can you change the seating in the keynote room to make it into a little living room set so that after the keynote, you give people 10 minutes to talk to the people in their little living room about the 3 things that they really love from that presentation, or after the panel discussion, what are 2 top takeaways that they're going to go take back and implement in their day-to-day job. So if you don't have the ability to go put in full roundtables or anything like that, just add in that little bit and changing up the seating in it so that people feel like they can talk to each other. You have to use 72-inch rounds and put people in there in the keynote room, fine. But give them that opportunity to talk to the people at your table about what you just heard. But putting that space in the agenda is the quickest, easiest way to let people talk to each other. And then I think roundtable sessions. If you have an agenda where you just have, imagine 2 rooms, and you bring in facilitators to lead those 2 rooms, and the rooms are set for 12 people, and then you can set the topics in advance if you want, and people can just choose to come into those rooms, and if the 12 seats are full, then the room's full. And then people just build these breakout rooms for 150 people, and they try to cram everybody in there because they need butts and seats. But those small sessions, that's where communities come, and that's where problems get solved, and that's where connections are made.
Well, you see some really good ones when there's actually people standing around. They want it to be almost like when they're trying to wait for a seat at the gaming tables in Las Vegas or something. They can see there's this is a good one. People are winning big over here, but you kind of have that same feeling that there's a conversation. I want to be part of it. You're dying for someone to get up and go to the bathroom so you can jump in their seat. I think it's that. And I also love those ideas because that's kind of as well when you've sort of got people networking by stealth. They like to call it, ninja networking, where they've actually started talking to each other. And instead of walking around feeling a bit like I don't know anyone, because they've got an opportunity there to have a conversation. So if you do those before the lunch break, then they will go off with a new friend for lunch, instead of being a bit on their own with a plate and a fork and a handbag and a phone and a bit of bag of swag and I don't know anyone and how am I going to talk? You've already just met that one person that you had the workshop conversation with. So, it works.
Exactly. You know, my absolute favorite way to build community at the beginning of the day is to create family-style seating for breakfast. Instead of the big buffet, instead of, with and all that stuff, have it set up like a restaurant where a hostess will see you, and you come over, and they put you at the table, and then they bring the next person to your table, and then the next person, and when the table's full, all the food descends upon you, and now you're breaking bread together and having conversation and meeting people, because we've all seen it. You go into a ball around with all of the empty tables, then there's one person at that table, two people at this table, so you go sit at the table by yourself and hope people will come to you. And so now you started out your day answering emails and not being social, and that's fine. That's what you want to do. But when you see everyone doing it, you don't need a little help. We're coming out of COVID, and everybody's forgotten how to actually talk and network and have small talks. So how did that mean in there to get people together? And it's just go, have you met Bob's from Atlanta, Georgia? Hey, have you met Clare? Clare's from London. And oh, that's what I've never been to London. And the conversations began, and just having those little things to start it out feels so much better.
Oh, completely. And it's that you said that word, breaking bread, because that's it. That's community. That's family. That's what we do as human beings. And we search that out and we want it. And we need help sometimes to get to it if we're nervous and we don't feel we know people. I mean, I'm the MC at events. It's really easy for me. I do go up and pile up and sit down at a table full of total strangers and go, hello, because I can, but it's not easy for everybody else to do that. And I think we do need to make that. And there's normally enough people floating around that are part of the organization putting on the event that can be given those. And they don't have to be, you could call them ambassador roles, you could just call them friend roles, whatever. It's using those that will really help. You've given me loads of ideas.
Everything, and no events that were this, but your executives out there as those ambassadors. Everybody keeps seeing executives in the back room and having their executive one-on-ones with the executive customers. But if your CEO, the CEO, the head of sales, and head of marketing are actually out there, those people come in, so we're just sitting, right? That's horrible. Access to these people, and it changes everything. So I don't know when more people will do that. It blows my mind.
No. And I mean, to be fair, with some clients, I have seen them do that, particularly at smaller events, less at the big events, but definitely at the smaller events. And it does make the difference. As you say, everybody is also seeing in the flesh people that might be on the stage later, but they're actually already getting to talk to them. And I think that helps the people who then get up on the stage because they've already made friends with the audience.
Exactly agree.
Great. Well, that's actually a tip I always say to contributors is go and find someone in the room and talk to them beforehand. It'll make your time on the stage a lot less intimidating if you've got one friendly face.
You don't want to intimidating or anything weird.
Don't ever do that. It's the worst advice. It's the worst community advice, but I know what you mean. Oh, thank you so much, Liz. I loved talking to you. I could talk to you for hours.
What's some fruit? We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So thank you so much to Liz for sharing so much about how to bring community into your events, how to bring it in big ways and how to bring it in little ways. And I think we sort of discussed there of that concept of letting the attendee have a moment at the event, letting the attendees be able to talk at the event. And that feeds into what we're going to be talking about in next week's episode, which is how to give your attendees more control at the event. So do join me for that. I really hope that you can take part in that and share some of your own ideas maybe in the next week as we get to that point, so that I can hear what you guys are doing to let your attendees have control. And if it's something you're absolutely terrified about and you've never thought of doing, then hopefully tune in and you will get some ideas about how to do it in a very quick way. So I'll see you next week.
And there you have it. I hope you're inspired to revolutionize the attendee experience at your next event. Ready to dive deeper? Download your free guide, 5 ways to elevate your attendee experience without breaking the bank. The link is in the show notes. Subscribe to Not the Same as Last Year podcast, connect with me, Clare Forestier, on LinkedIn, or visit my YouTube channel for even more tips and insights to make your events a hit with your attendees. Don't forget to leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. Your feedback is going to fuel my mission. Stay tuned next week for another episode packed with inspiring ideas and practical strategies to put your attendee first.